welcome back YouTubers. I'm Protomario and I am recording in a new house, so if there is an echo, understand that I'm working on it. It's gonna take a minute. I'm in a wooden floor room with kind of expanded walls. I've put some stuff into my office, but obviously I might need some sound dampening foam. As that may be, I am still moving and I don't have internet at my home, so I have to get these news stories and then talk about them and then produce them and upload them somewhere else. So, apparently, for a while, there's been sort of a legal battle, kind of, going on between two individuals. Scott, who made the Five Nights at Freddy's series. What ended up happening is that there was a company known as Funkn, or a developer, and they stated that they were going to create a 3D take on the popular Five Nights at Freddy's series, but unfortunately it was too similar. So what they did was, to differentiate their take on the Five Nights at Freddy's series, they decided to allow the player to walk around. Not only could he walk around, but he could run if he was attacked by an animatronic. Now, unfortunately, this was a bit of an issue because the similarities were too much. So this game, Case, was able to actually get greenlit onto Steam. If you know how difficult that is to have completed, it was able to get greenlit on Steam, and in doing so, it was greenlit very quick. But in November 2015, unfortunately, it was DMCA'd, taken down by Cawthon's Five Nights at Freddy's series kind of similarity issue, and his lawyer had DMCA'd him. They stated the first email was a notice from Steam about the removal of the game from Greenlight, and the other was a letter from Cawthon's attorney and Chris Ellis Jr. saying that the game violated Five Nights at Freddy's copyright. Funkn told individuals this in interviews on various gaming networks, saying that the same evening, Case animatronics was removed from Greenlit and social networks were in chaos as they were. Now, after this, they decided to change the game accordingly. Because of what happened, our energy and enthusiasm was nearly drained. With the development of Case animatronics, we focused on making a stealth horror game in 3D with the ability to walk around, explore, listen to the world around you, and certainly is not a point-and-click release like the Five Nights at Freddy's. So what ended up happening is that they remodeled all of the characters, the in-game characters, to be less animal-like, altered the rooms and flooring so they would no longer bear similarities to the rooms and floorings of Five Nights at Freddy's, and removed references to the Freddy's series whatsoever in the promotional work, which is really depressing if you think about it. I understand how this stuff happens, you know. It's very sad when somebody wants to make a game very similar to yours, but wants to tweak the formula a bit and make it almost completely different. Because Five Nights at Freddy's is a point-and-click game, and it requires timing and precision, which isn't impossible to do. I've played through Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2, and I took on the hardest challenge, and I beat 20-20-20-20, and that's okay. That's fine, but I've always thought, why couldn't you get up and walk around? Why would you stay in the office? Why this? Why that? And this game seems like it would have fixed that issue, and that seems pretty cool. But at the same time, when you get DMCA takedowns from the guy who made the game, the guy's attorney, you have to kind of understand, you know, this guy's serious, man. I feel that there's a line, and when you're on that line, you're riding that line. This game was obviously different from Five Nights at Freddy's. It allowed you to walk around. That's a big difference, almost entirely changing the game, because in Five Nights at Freddy's, you just can't really do that. You can point and click things, and your character might move in like Five Nights at Freddy's 3, but you can't, you really can't walk around in most of the games. So this is a little bit of kind of a I feel like Scott was threatened with the competition coming up. So over on the Five Nights at Freddy's Reddit page, Cawthon offered the following statement on the game's release date announcement. Quote, "Just to provide some backstory, when this game was first released, it featured the main character and icon that looked a lot like Freddy Fazbear, as well as a lot of other similarities. They changed a lot about their game since then. As another user mentioned, I don't have any claim to the word animatronic." So Quite a few individuals are very upset at Scott for doing what he did. I think when you have to resort to DMCA takedowns, it's not good. You see, here's the issue I have. You know, there are plenty of games out there that are Mario clones. They're literal Mario clones. Do they succeed? Are they amazing? No, they're not. Most of the time, they're absolutely terrible. A good example is The Legend of Zelda. Now, there was a PlayStation game that was released a few years back where you could make your own character and you would go on a quest, and it was essentially Zelda, A Link to the Past, spiritual successor, somewhat, some form. Now, it was different because it changed from the 2D to 3D, but it was still kind of an overhead view. It was Zelda through and through, but it was different enough to not be Zelda. Now, it's almost the same exact situation. It's the same premise, it's the same idea. They just added in a few new features that the original Zelda didn't have, and voila. So when you see DMCA takedowns come, you know, like look at PlayStation All-Stars. Like, should the creators of Super Smash Brothers be like, well, you're pretty much just stealing the formula, you know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. It's Super Smash Brothers, but with PlayStation, you know? You start to understand that the DMCA's is kind of bullshit, man. I don't think Scott was right in what he did. I do think he should have offered some constructive criticism and said, hey, man, it feels like you're stealing my material. It feels like you're taking what I already made and just building off it and claiming it as your own, and I don't like that. But I don't think he should have DMCA'd them. Because at the end of the day, I could easily create a dark and brooding place, a mansion with dark hallways that's broken down, with monstrous animals trying to get me, and it could have literally nothing to do with Five Nights at Freddy's, but seem just like it enough to get a DMCA takedown. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know your comments, thoughts, questions, concerns, and opinions in the comment section below. I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. Thanks for watching, and as always, good gaming, and God bless.